When we're young, we have an amazing, positive outlook about how great life is going to be, but somewhere along the line, we forget to dream and end up settling. Join Up Dots features amazing people who refuse to give up and chose to go after their dreams. This is your blueprint for greatness. So here's your host, live from the back of his garden in the UK, David Ralph.
Yes, hello there world, how are we? Are we rocking and rolling in Join Up Dots land? Who can believe it, 31st of August already, we've gone through another month of shows, and I think we all agree they have been some brilliant ones this month, and we've got somebody today who is going to deliver big time, because I've already sort of arranged an X-rated version of the show a little bit later on. She's probably blushing at the other end of the line now. She is a lady who can admit to being a player coach, entrepreneur, author, speaker, and mentor to professionals around the world, helping them grow their businesses and live amazing lives. She empowers others to dream big and go for what they truly want. Recently releasing her latest book, Vision to Reality, How Short-Term Massive Action Equals Long-Term Maximum Results, she has quite simply driven her way to an empowering future by taking frequent and consistent action, not least moving 11 times to 11 different states in the USA. But now from her base in Austin, Texas, she is creating a worldwide approach to providing value to single mums, dads and businesses, and with programs, coaching and not least podcast interviews, she's offering a lot to the world. So let's find out what made this lady jump from the corporate world and go it alone, and why was she a single mum for over 6 years, and of course when she isn't being hands-on to so many people, not least her own family, how does she ensure that she too gets that dream life that she provides others? Well, let's find out as we start joining up the dots of her life with the one and only Honoree Calder. How are you, Honoree?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I am, well, I'm going to cut to the chase, actually. Did you blush a bit when I mentioned the X-rated version that you,
well, absolutely.
You suggested? I didn't suggest at all.
Oh, well, of course, guilty. Hands in the air.
I went along with it, but I didn't suggest it.
Right, exactly. Just so we know, we're all clear.
We're all clear.
I suggested the after the show thing. There's a show in the US that I watch, and they always say, join us online after the show. And that's, I guess, when all the naughty conversation happens. So I was inspired.
You should be inspired, because the world is inspired by you. Because you are, I'm going to cut to the chase again. This is the double cut to the chase. I've never done that before. But you have got a lot on your plate at the moment, haven't you?
I do. I'm rocking and rolling.
And why? Why have you got so much on your plate? Why can't you just take an easy life at the moment?
I have so many things that I want to get done. And the more things I add to my list, the more excited I get. And then someone will add something else to my list. So I have help. I have people adding things to my list, as well as the things that I add to my list. I actually really like it. I think one of the things that I really like about running my own show, being an entrepreneur, is having the ability to do the thing that doesn't feel like work.
And what is that? Because, I kind of know what it is, because it's what I'm doing at the moment, really. This is like playing with a microphone for me.
That's exactly right. I wake up every day and I'm giddy to take on that day. I'm so excited about what I'm up to. So I don't feel like, I have to get out of bed and go to work today. What's my boss going to say? What are my coworkers going to do? Or even what crap are my clients going to throw at me? I work with the best people, and I get to do the most amazing work. And I feel like I'm kind of getting away with something. And I think that's when you're doing the right thing, is when you're like, I seriously got money for that?
Is that a kind of mental shift, though? Because I think so many people struggle with that concept. And what you're saying is absolutely true. And it doesn't matter whether you're listening to this conversation or the other sort of 130 that we've done. Every single person that is really having success in their life get to that point when life and play kind of blur. They actually love doing it. But if you speak to the man on the street or the lady on the street, they're kind of trapped in a mentality that is, you only get paid for effort. You only get paid for work, and work shouldn't be fun. Playing is fun, but work's not fun.
I think that's what we're taught. I think that's what what, that's school. Isn't that school? That was my experience of school. I loved learning until I had to go to school. And then I wasn't able to learn the things that I wanted to learn. I had to learn what the curriculum was. And so that felt like work to me. I don't think we're taught as a human race to go find the thing that you're amazing at and do that and then figure out a way to monetize it. I don't think I think we're getting there. I think the shift toward entrepreneurialism is happening, that more and more people are seeing that more and more other people are doing it. And so they find themselves in the successful and they go, well, if that guy can do it, I don't think that guy's any smarter than I am, or that woman is any smarter than I am. So I think I can give it a try. Why couldn't I be successful?
Because I reckon I'm about the world's most stupid person, to be honest. You know, I can talk, I can get pumped up in conversations, and I can edit a little recording. But other than that, I don't know a lot about what I'm doing, but I'm still doing it.
Well, I think I'm not going to go with the first thing that you said, but I am going to go with something that a mentor of mine used to say to me. And he would say, Honoree, when you set yourself on fire, people will come from miles around to watch you burn. And so it's not always what you know, it's that you're excited about it. So when I'm talking to someone who's new in a business and they're concerned about the things that they don't know, where their gaps are in their knowledge, I always assure them that it's their enthusiasm and excitement, that inner fire, that is what is going to attract what they need and who they need to their business. You don't need to know everything. You need to be the person that says, well, actually, I don't know that, but I'll find out and I'll get back to you, as opposed to trying to be the expert in all things to all people, because that person doesn't really exist. So it's really your excitement that causes people to tune in and get excited and see the possibility in themselves, because you have found possibility in yourself and you're leading by example. So I don't think you need to know everything. I think you just need to be on fire.
I love that phrase that you say. If you set yourself on fire, people will travel to see you burn. Mm-hmm. That's a powerful statement to make, isn't it?
It is a very powerful statement. And it gives you peace of mind where you may not have peace of mind. Because I don't feel like, even after all of the time that I have been doing all of the things that I'm doing, that I'm an expert, and I'm constantly watching people who are further down the path than I am to see what they're doing and learning from them. And they give me inspiration and hope. And I feel like, okay, well, if they can do it, maybe I can do it too. And I kind of stay on the road, and they're on fire. So I'm excited to tune in and see what they're up to.
Did you know that if you talk to, once again, the man in the street, they will have that mindset, won't they, that they have to be an expert at something to monetize. So it's refreshing to hear both of us saying to the audience, look, we're getting paid to do something, but on the great scheme of it, we're about 3 pages ahead of you lot. And it wouldn't take a lot for you to catch us up in any shape or form. And a bit more professionalism, in my case, you're going to go flying past if you want it hard enough. And that's a kind of mindset that you get once you become entrepreneurial, that you kind of realise, in my case, at the moment, I'm doing everything for this show, from booking guests in, from organising the whole lot. But as soon as I possibly can, now I'm aware that I can kind of outsource things for very cheaply. And so you get to a point again that you really look at the things that you love doing and the things that you hate doing, and you just get rid of the things you hate doing and let somebody else do it. And then once that happens, you really are cooking on gas, because all you're doing is the things that you love doing every single day. And as you say, you bounce out of bed because you are doing stuff that you love, and you're probably in that situation as well, that you can almost jettison the things that you don't want to do.
I do. I jettison. That's what I'm doing. That's my new word. I was going to say delegate, but I like your word better. Passing off those things that you don't love to do the minute you don't love to do that. I don't like to go to the grocery store. I don't like to get my car detailed. I like to drive a clean car. I sure do like to eat. Right? So it's closing the gap between those things as quickly as you possibly can. However, I will say that for all the time I've been doing the things that I don't love to do that are part of the things that I love to do, my attitude is much better about it.
Explain.
I have this other freedom. I don't have to go to the grocery store and get my car detailed and deal with a mean boss and coworkers that I don't enjoy working with and clients that I can't stand. I get to write books, and I get to deliver presentations and speeches, and I get to work with people as their coach and strategic advisor. And P.S. and by the way, I have to answer emails, and I have to pay bills, and I have to go to the grocery store. But even while I'm doing those things, I'm still so excited about my life that they don't bother me as much as they might if I hated my whole life rather than just going to the grocery store. Does that make sense?
Well, it does make sense. It makes sense in many ways, but I think you're a bit obsessed with food, to be honest.
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
I won't lie. I won't lie.
You seem to spend your life going around the grocery store. How many times a day do you do that?
I haven't been. I go as infrequently as possible, and I bribe my husband to go.
Did you not have what we have in the United Kingdom, internet shopping, when you shop and they deliver it to you?
Not food, not grocery, not in Austin. I hear San Diego is getting Amazon delivering the groceries. So I'm really hoping that the grocery delivery gods are coming to Austin very soon.
Well, they should do, because I tell you what, I used to go around shopping centres with my kids when they were little, and they were all right because they were babies. That was fine. And then they got to that, do I have to come? Do I have to come? Yes, you do. Otherwise, you're going to starve. And now we just basically go online and we click a list, and it knows all the things that we like. It goes into our trolley. We put a credit card, and then they turn up at our door in bags, and they deliver it to us.
So maybe I need to just move to the United Kingdom. I think that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, and you get free healthcare over here as well. That's good.
All right, I'm in.
I'll
tell my family. I'll tell my family.
You can eat, get fat, and then the NHS, the healthcare people, will look after you. That's beautiful.
All right, that's perfect. Well, I'm kind of obsessed with London, so I'm really wanting to come to London soon.
Have
just
you ever
as
been?
an FYI. No, my husband's been, and we've been talking about it.
So why are you not doing it then? Because somebody who takes action on every single day, that is something that's not just actionable, that's doable.
Absolutely. And it is on the list of imminent things that will happen. It is summertime, and my husband has 2 startup businesses because he's an overachiever. And so getting him to leave his office for more than 10 hours does not accommodate going to London. And there was something that I learned. I went on a writing trip to New York City the beginning of last year, and I spent 10 days in New York City, where I had lived for some number of years, and I really love New York. And the thing that I missed the most was, so you can only write for so many hours a day, and then you need to give your brain a rest. And so I loved going to Starbucks and getting something to drink, and I loved going, out to get something to eat. I know you're gonna throw me under the bus with the food thing again, but anyway, I just love the lifestyle of walking around New York and being able to go to museums and parks and shopping and those kinds of things. But the thing that I realized that I missed was my family. That I was doing all of this. I've been building everything that I've built so that I could have more experiences with my family, not so that I could have more things. And so I realized that if I could go to London, I could come right now. I could leave tomorrow. But my family wouldn't be able to come with me. My daughter could come with me, but then we would miss my husband. And then in a few weeks' time, she'll be in school, and they frown on taking your kids out of school for a month at a time to go gallivant about. So I'm being very patient. It's my intention. It is absolutely my intention to come and be there for quite some time.
You come across, you'll love it. You'll love it. So if we sort of dive back into your life, because I've sort of touched on that you've been in Austin, you've been in New York, and you've been in 11 states, and not just 11 states you popped in. You've actually lived and you've moved in 11 different areas. Where did it all start for you? Where was home for the little Honoree?
Well, I was born in Ohio. And then in middle school, I moved to New Mexico, to Albuquerque. And then as quick as I could, I got to New York City to do modeling, but no one's ever seen me. So that didn't work out. But I could type, David. And I was raised by entrepreneurial parents. And, my dad always said to me, if you're working for the Pharaoh, somebody's going to get rich, but it's not going to be you.
Mm.
You're working for the man, you're working for the Pharaoh. So you're going to work really, really hard. But he's going to get rich, or whoever you work for is going to get wealthy and have freedom, have what I call liberty, right? An abundance of anything that you want, time, money, space, freedom. you won't have that freedom. You'll be checking in and checking out. You'll be making money essentially for somebody else. And even as a younger person, I got that concept. And so as soon as I could become an entrepreneur, I did.
And was it just, it's simply that? Was it the fact that you were taking the words of wisdom from your parents? Because most of us become entrepreneurs after we've had some really bad issue at work, or we've worked with people that just did our head in, and we thought we can't put up with this anymore, but we didn't know what we wanted to do. Where did your kind of leap of faith into entrepreneurial land come from?
Well, I was raised with the mindset of being an entrepreneur. However, I didn't have a fantastic upbringing. So I was on my own at 16, and I finished high school working 3 jobs. I didn't have bad experiences working for someone. I didn't have great experiences working for someone. It was just kind of, I wasn't passionate about it. I then found myself really having a really good work ethic. I found myself doing the work of other people, but I wasn't getting the paychecks of the other people I was working with. So I was connecting those dots of, if I worked for myself, then I would only be able to eat what I kill. That's an American expression. I don't know if you've heard that, right? You eat what you kill. So it's a sales expression. We
get it delivered. So we get somebody else to kill, and then they bring it to us.
I know. You're so far ahead of us. It's sad. Anyway, the concept of you eat what you kill, I got that concept because I had watched that at home. That was my model. But I didn't go to college. So I had this head noise. I had this noise in my head about, well, you can't be an entrepreneur, Honoree, because what are you an expert at? Just what we were talking about a minute ago. What would you possibly have to offer people? So I had to work my way through that head noise and those limiting beliefs before I could then say, you know what, I actually do have something to offer. And I do recognize that if I work for someone else, they are going to recognize that I'm a hard worker, and they're going to take advantage of that. I'm not going to be fully rewarded for what I bring to the table. So my only option for wealth, I felt like, was to be an entrepreneur. And I'm kind of a rebel. So I was like, why would I come to work every day? I don't want to work every day for someone else. If I'm going to work every day, I'm going to work every day for myself. So all of those things kind of came together, and I went out in my first venture, and I wasn't really successful at first. It took me a few years to gain my balance and to figure things out and to really be successful.
Well, that's a fascinating point, what you're saying there, that you took that leap of faith, you decided to do it, but it took a while for it to fall into place, really. I've been doing this, really, for 5 years. I've only been doing the show since the 30th of April, but actually the journey that I've been on has been about 5 years, and I've tried numerous different kind of online ventures that, looking back on it, I could have made a success, but I think I wanted them to be so successful quickly, I didn't keep on persevering with them. I kind of shiny object syndrome. I work on that instead, and I go off in a different direction. And it's only now that really I've cleared the clutter and I'm focusing on one thing that the improvement and the focus, I suppose, is just off the scale. And it's just follow one course until success. Focus.
That's correct. And I think people underestimate how long it's going to take. They overestimate success and how quickly it's going to come. And instead of saying, listen, I'm in this, I'm in it to win it. So I'm going to stay in it, and I'm going to try something until it works. It's like Tony Robbins says, how long do you give a baby to walk before you just say, okay, forget it? No walking. You don't limit the amount of time. You keep encouraging the baby until the baby walks. And the same thing is with entrepreneurialism. If you try something and it doesn't work, try something else. But I think that there's a key component that I missed out on, which I think is important to share, which is I didn't necessarily go to someone right away who had been successful and say, okay, if you were starting over, what would you tell yourself? If you were going to go back in time and start your business. Now, when I coach someone, I'm like, listen, it took me 10 years to figure this out, to crack this code. Hire me, and I'm going to shorthand it for you. I'm going to give you the path. I'm going to cut the path through. So I think the mistake that people make is they try to figure it out all on their own rather than finding someone who is ahead of them and modeling them. And if they do approach that person, they expect that person to just offer up that advice for free. So if you go to someone who's doing what you're doing ahead of you, say, listen, I want to pay for an hour of your time. I don't care how much it costs. I'm going to figure out my questions and I'm going to grill you, but I'm also going to give you my American Express card number. I'm going to put some money in your bank account. I'm going to make it worth it for you to take time away from your business and share with me those little nuggets of information that you have. It's like writing books. Vision to Reality was my 12th book. And I'm now putting out a book about every few months. And I have people say, oh my gosh, how do you do that? Just that must be a gift. Well, after the 12th one, it looks like a gift, just like it looks like professional athletes just shoot 3-pointers or score touchdowns because they have some gift from God. Well, maybe they have some talent, but they also have tenacity and they have been willing to work and work and work and work. But if you can have someone put the arrow right where it belongs, that's valuable. I wish I had done that sooner.
So what you're saying really is for the listeners out there, they need to think, I need to invest in myself. You know, I put it the same way. If you want to learn to drive a car, what do? You pay for a driving instructor. And for X amount of weeks, you will be sitting with them twice a week as they teach you to drive. And it's exactly the same in your business, isn't it? You have got certain things that you need to do. And yes, you can figure them out. But it's the next level. You can get something going. I'm at that point now in this venture that everything's going great guns. I couldn't ask for anything more, but I need to have more and I can't quite figure it out for myself because it just seems like I'm looking through frosted glass and I can't quite make out what I should be doing. So what's the best way of doing it? You ask somebody who's on the other side of the glass to show you. Yeah,
you find someone who is farther down the road than you, and you send them an email and you say, I have cash. How much of it do you want to help me get to the next place?
Why do you think people don't do that though, Honoree? Why do you think people do not actually invest in themselves?
Well, I think there are a couple of things. I think people don't believe that they deserve to invest in themselves. We are not told to invest in ourselves. And they think they can figure it out. When they don't recognize how quickly someone can cut through steel with the right information. Let the expert be the expert and they will save you time and multiply your money. I know there are people that want to hire me, but they're like, wow, she's really expensive. So I'm just going to keep plodding along and trying to figure it out. And others around them have hired me and they're kind of like, okay, well, let them wait because I'm going to take that market share.
I was reading a blog this afternoon. There's a gentleman out there who's called JT Fox, and he's some kind of big investment guy in America, and I keep on seeing his name sort of bounce up and stuff. And he basically took these two guys from South Africa who were in businesses, similar businesses, and said, this is what I charge. Who wants to pay? And one of them said no, and the other one said yes. And now the one that said yes is spending like a week with Richard Branson on Necker Island, and his business has increased tenfold, and he's now being asked to public speak about the success that he's had. And you kind of look at it and you go, wow, that's paid for itself. But the person who didn't invest is still kind of plodding along going, once I get that extra bit of money, once I do this. And, I'm not saying it's easy to do this, because if you are at the start of the journey, you're trying to do it on a shoestring most of the time. You just haven't got the money, especially if you have done that leap of faith and you've left employment because you are wanting to become entrepreneurial. I totally understand it. I do totally understand that you think, no, I can't afford that because I'm just doing X, Y, Z to get this business going. But what we're saying is if you can afford it and you really need to afford it, then try to find that money somewhere. Even if it means that you sell the wife for a couple of nights. Get the money and use it.
Yes, what else is she for? Anyway. You know what? Here's the thing that I hear you saying, and I think it's so important. If you have the money, invest it. If you can get the money, invest it. If you can't afford it yet, find out how much it costs and make that your first goal. In the meantime, the internet, there's this great thing called the internet now. I don't know if you've heard about it.
We don't have it in the UK.
That's where you get your groceries from. There's so many things online. I know. There's so many things online. There's so many resources online. So figuring it out yourself is different from doing research. However, there is nothing more powerful than a conversation where you can ask someone the question that you have and have them answer the question. It's faster. But there's a guy, and I can't pay him because he doesn't do conversations, but he writes books very quickly, and he's created a really amazing income from writing books. And so I read everything that he has. I read his blog. I don't watch television. I read his blog. When I might take my daughter to karate, I take my computer and my hotspot and I read his blog. When something comes out, I'm paying attention to it. When he's on a podcast, I'm listening to the interview. I'm trying to pick up those nuggets of information. So it doesn't always have to be that you're investing a huge amount of money, but I will say it's the difference between frozen butter and a hot knife through butter. It's the 10X and the Necker Island, if you like that sort of thing, as opposed to what we didn't even mention the other guy. Is he even still alive? I'm worried about him.
Who, the South African?
Yeah, the other guy that didn't hire the JT Fox.
I imagine he's a little bit bitter, to be honest, but at the end of the day, he had the same opportunities. It's the one who took that opportunity and ran with it. And he didn't even run with it. He took that opportunity, and the tasks that were set to him were hard. They really were hard. But he did them, and he learned from them, and he gained confidence that, yeah, they were difficult, but actually, once I set my mind to it, I've achieved it. And then he moved on. It's momentum, isn't it, that we're talking about?
Correct. And you said a really good key word there, hard. You need to work hard and you need to work smart. And the smarter you work, the luckier you get. Because there's no successful person is lucky. It's because they've worked hard and they've worked smart and they figured out their combination. And once you get into that momentum, success breeds success. Sometimes it's knocking over that first domino that then causes all of them to fall. So you've got to stay in it and be committed to it and be willing to invest your time and your effort and your energy and your belief so that once that first domino falls, then another, and then another, and then another, and then you're in momentum, and you have to stay in momentum. You've got to keep doing the things that work.
Right, I'm going to play a little speech here because I think this is the prime time to bring this guy on. But have a listen to this and tell me what you think.
My father could have been a great comedian, but he didn't believe that that was possible for him. And so he made a conservative choice. Instead, he got a safe job as an accountant. And when I was 12 years old, he was let go from that safe job. And our family had to do whatever we could to survive. I learned many great lessons from my father, not the least of which was that you can fail at what you don't want. So you might as well take a chance on doing what you love.
Is that what life is all about?
That's right. Thank you, Jim Carrey. I've heard that.
It's amazing, isn't it? It's amazing that it's come from him for a start, because I wasn't expecting that. But as soon as I heard it, I thought, I've got to throw this into the show because it is spine-tingling, really, that. Because when you think about it, you kind of go, yes, absolutely. And I heard it, and I really thought, why did it take me so long to do what I'm doing now? Because now I'm doing this. It's my path. I just know it. And it doesn't matter whether it's going to take 6 months, a year, 2 years, whatever. I know that this is going to be my path because I love it. I just love it. And I'm doing something that I love. And the more you love it, the more you want to do it. And so the harder you work. And it's that circle. It goes round and round and round. Was it a risk? Yes. I walked away from a salary. I didn't know what the hell I was going to do. But now I found this, I listen to those words and I think to myself, God, not only should I have heard these 10 years ago, but kids in school should have this every single day.
Oh my gosh, yes, absolutely. The thing is people will ask me, I have a 14-year-old daughter, and they'll say, well, what does she want to be when she grows up? Or what do you want her to do? And I say, listen, my husband and I are both entrepreneurs. We don't work together. We have our independent companies, but we are the example for her. We are the model for her of find the thing that you love to do and then do it. And it's not that you're not going to work hard. It's that you're going to have control over your life, because no one can fire me. I mean, a client could fire me, but I can't get fired from my whole job. How many people get laid off or fired? And then they're like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. So I want my daughter to do the thing that she is passionate and excited about every day. So I just have her try a whole bunch of things. And when she likes something, I'm like, okay, do that. Go do more of that. I think that's not what is taught in schools. And it's so unfortunate, because we're breeding a whole other generation of people who feel like the only way to make money is through work that they do not love. And it is very sad to me.
I created a word the other day, and this is going to change the world. This is going to be the second time that I've shared it with anyone, but it's a word called inspication. And I think at school they focus on education, but very little do they focus on inspiration. And when you suddenly get a teacher who is inspiring, you love it and you learn and you enjoy their lessons. But most of the time at school, you don't. You just kind of go through the flow. So I'm trying to inspire my kids, exactly the same as you're doing, to think entrepreneurial and think about creating their own path and kind of expanding on how much wasted time I experienced in the corporate world, where I was justifying my time in the office more than the work justifying the reason I was there. I could have done it in 2 hours and I had the rest of the time off. Would they have paid me for that? Of course they wouldn't. They wanted me to be there for 8 hours. And I'm trying to drum that into my kids, because I do think the key thing now, as you're saying, with the opportunities you've got with the internet, the opportunities that you've got to type in how to, which is an amazingly powerful couple of words on the internet to actually get yourself up to speed. You have got opportunities, and it's not the risky choice anymore. I think it is the choice that really, if we're doing the right thing, we should be inspiring the kids to come out and wanting to be creative. Now, I'm on a bit of a rant here, Honoree, but I'm going to take it even further, because the tagline to the show is connecting our past to build our future. And one of the themes that has come out time and time again is the theme about finding your passion, as Jim says in that speech. Find your passion, find something that you love, and you're going to have a kick-ass life. But so many people go, how the hell do I find my passion? I don't know what my passion is. And we've realized through this show that if you look back as adults to the things you loved doing when you was a kid, they are your passions. They are the things that you would do when you weren't being paid for it. They were the things that you would do instantly as soon as you got back from school, and you'd lay on the floor. And if you love being with horses, then look for something that is within horses. And if you like drawing, or if you like building, look back at yourself as a kid, because that is where your true passions lie. What do you think about that?
I think that's very accurate. And I've read scientific research around what kids love to do between the ages of 8 and 14 are actually their natural avocation and should be their vocation. So it should be the thing that they do for play and the thing they do for work. So I absolutely believe in that.
So what did you love doing at the age of 8 to 14?
I think reading and bossing people around. So I think I'm doing it.
It's amazing, isn't it? It's amazing.
Yes, how about that?
So but it took you a while, like all of us. It took you a while to actually find your thing.
Yes, and the universe kept giving me nudges. I kept getting messages. So the first time I had a friend come to me and he said, I have this friend of mine and she looks up to you, and she was in a car accident and you ran a marathon. And she was so inspired that you ran a marathon, that she ran a marathon. And 2 weeks later, she was in a devastating car accident. And the doctors told her that if she had not been in such good physical condition, she would have died. And so he said, you had this conversation with her at a party, and she was talking to you about running a marathon. And I vaguely remember having a conversation with her and saying, well, if you want to run a marathon, if you can't run to the mailbox, then walk to the mailbox, but walk for 30 minutes. And then next week, run for 30 seconds and walk for 4.5 minutes. I kind of gave her this how to build up your endurance 1, 2, 3. And So he came back and he said, she hasn't had a chance to call you because she's still getting better, but she just wanted to say thank you for saving her life. And I said, that's crazy. And so when I talked to her, she said, your voice in my head telling me I could do it was louder than the voice in my head telling me I couldn't do it. And I kept hearing that throughout the years. And now that's what my clients say to me. They'll say, okay, Honoree, I don't believe I can do this, but you're telling me that you think I can do it, and I believe you. So I'm going to do it, whatever it is.
You're what we class as Dumbo's magic feather. Do you remember Dumbo? But when he had this little feather in his trunk, he could fly, but he didn't really need the feather because he had the talent all along. But he just needed that feather to think that he could flap his big ears and off he goes. And you're that for your clients, aren't you? They've got it in them, but you are just that ability for them to reach out and suddenly believe in themselves.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Because I think one of my natural talents is seeing the best in people and seeing what's possible in them when they are not able to see it for themselves. And then I go, look, here it is. It's right there. It's there. It's been there the whole time. And that's because there were people that did that for me, and it felt so good. It felt really good to have someone say, Honoree, you really could do this if you put your mind to it. And I go, no, shut up. What do you mean? And I would get encouragement. And so now I turn around and do that, and it is the most amazing thing.
I keep on coming back to the same thing, though. It's just limiting thoughts, isn't it? I suppose every single episode, the people that have cracked it and have moved on are just the ones that can reduce those limiting thoughts in their mind. And it doesn't matter if you are Richard Branson or you're myself or whatever. You still wake up every morning and think, oh, God, I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull this off. And more often than not, once you actually focus in on it and you do the bite-sized chunks, the incremental gains, you suddenly build up momentum. I was talking to a chap this afternoon who, I emailed him actually. He came through, he's a listener, and I've mentioned him numerous times, called Leo. And he said to me, could I have a chat with you? And we had a Skype call. And I said to him, look, you want to change your life. He's got a wife and family, and he's doing a job that he doesn't like doing. And he's just a hugely passionate guy. I really sort of liked him. And I said to him, what you got to do, first of all, is write a list. You've got to write 3 columns. One of them is, what's all the things that you hate doing at work at the moment? What's the things that you love doing at work? And what are the things that you loved doing when you was a kid? And try to bridge the last 2 columns. So if you've got the talents at the moment that you like doing at work, try to develop those by finding your true unique passions, and then you can build an income out of it. And I sort of emailed him today, and I said to him, how are you getting on with it? And I haven't had a response, but on the email I said, even if you haven't done it, you are already holding yourself back, because there's always going to be things that stop you. There's always going to be that you come home from work and you're tired. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. It's the people that actually go, yes, I am tired, but I am going to take that extra step. I'm going to get up earlier. I'm going to set my alarm. I haven't got time at the end of the day because when I get home, I've got kids, whatever. But in the morning, everyone else is in bed. I'm going to get up an hour early. And you do an hour and you do an hour and you do an hour. And then suddenly you realize you're building something. And then that is when the momentum gets you when you come home from work. And suddenly you're not tired because you realize you are constructing something. You've built that foundation and you're moving forward.
Yes, the time will pass whether you do it or you don't do it. And I'm learning Spanish, and there are so many words. There are so many words, and then there are verbs and conjugations. But the way I'm looking at it is every day I learn a few words. Every day I practice. Every day I listen. And I just keep building one on top of the other. And the interesting thing is, whereas 2 months ago I would listen to someone having a conversation, I would understand nothing that they would say. And now I'm starting to pick it up. I wouldn't even say I'm past the basic level, but I'm building one block on top of the other. And I figure, you know what, if I keep doing it for a couple of years, I'll be able to communicate and understand.
And that's it, a couple of years, isn't it? That is the thing. It's not the American Idol where you step up on stage and you do a good song and then suddenly you're playing Madison Square Garden. It's effort. It's hard. And that consistent action on a daily basis just kind of keeps on building and building and building. I do this show now on a daily basis. When I listen back to the very first ones, my wife said to me, oh, you say a lot. And I said, do I? I didn't realize I was doing it. Now I listen to it, I hardly do at all because I've just kind of developed. And then I'm sure there's things coming into my vocabulary now which I need to shift and move on to become more professional and take me to that next level. But you only do it by doing it, don't you? And little by little, you will suddenly see an improvement. And that's the hard thing. People can't perceive that they're going to spend 2 years trying to learn Spanish. It's almost like we want to do it overnight. And unfortunately, that doesn't work.
No, overnight, there are some hacks, right? The common lingo now is how do you hack something? How do you get it faster? But ultimately, it's time and attention. And so honestly, I'm going old school. I have flashcards and I have, stations I live in. Luckily, I live in Texas. And there's a high Spanish population here. So there are television stations I can listen to and radio stations I can listen to. And there's a podcast out of Scotland that I listen to. And I just a little by little, I'm going to do it. And someday someone's going to say something to me and I'm automatically going to respond to them. And that day is not today.
Scottish Spaniards. That's going to be hard.
It's the cutest thing ever. It's called Coffee Break Spanish. You have to go to coffeebreakspanish.com, but they have a podcast. And it's just a little 15-minute podcast. I listen to it while I'm getting ready. And so every day I learn just a little bit. And then I've got my flashcards. And then I found myself a gentleman in Barcelona who wants to speak better English. And I want to speak better Spanish. And so we Skype a couple of times a week, very early in the morning for me. And this is where the effort piece comes in, because I get up at 4:30 in the morning so that I can do everything that I need to do, so that at 6:30 in the morning before my work day, I can do this Spanish learning. There's nothing about my work that requires me to learn a foreign language. This is an extra thing that I'm doing. So I think there's a lesson there for the people who are working in a job and they're saying, well, I'm going to become an entrepreneur. I can't let go of my steady income. I've got to build something on the side. When am I going to find the time for it? You don't find the time, you make the time. I have no time to learn a foreign language. I'm making the time to do it. It's important to me. So I'm finding little pockets of time. 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, 30 minutes here, 30 minutes there, while I'm getting ready. I'm using no extra time, and I'm doing it and making it important. And that's a distinction, is it's committing to the work and committing to yourself and investing in yourself and being patient with yourself. And here's the thing is I'm older now, I'm in my 40s. And so what I'm doing, I'm fairly good at what I'm doing. It comes naturally to me. My head hurts now all of the time with all of the Spanish words. Right. So it's effort for me, and I have to constantly commit to it. It's like, okay, well, I know how to say where is now. So I know how to say bathroom. I know how to say how are you and goodbye. Maybe I'm kind of good, but that's not enough. Right? That's not fluency. That's not what I ultimately want. So if my feet match my lips, which I think is important.
I find this fascinating, because what we're saying again is you don't know that you're going to achieve this. You just have this desire to achieve it. And Steve Jobs said that amazingly about having... Actually, I'm going to play it now because he says it even better than I do. So this is Steve Jobs.
Of course, it was impossible to connect the dots looking forward when I was in college. But it was very, very clear looking backwards 10 years later. Again, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. You have to trust in something, your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever. Because believing that the dots will connect down the road will give you the confidence to follow your heart, even when it leads you off the well-worn path. And that will make all the difference.
You learning Spanish to a bloke on Skype that you've never met is kind of off the well-worn path, isn't it?
Yes, a little bit. Everyone's like, why are you doing that? How did you even find him? So yes, it's off the well-worn path. But what's interesting is I was trying to teach myself Spanish in Ohio when I was like 8 years old. I got this little book on Spanish. I've always wanted to learn French, Spanish, and Italian my whole life. And I finally got to my 40s and I was like, listen, Honoree, like you can keep wishing that you're going to make it happen, or you can just figure out a way to make it happen.
So you were joining up your dots, just as he said.
Yes. Yes. I looked all the way back And there it was. It's the desire that I've had in my heart the whole time.
So do you think the words that he says, do you think they're relevant to you in your life?
I absolutely.
In what way? Expand on that. Absolutely.
Well, thank you for asking. You know what? When I look back over my life, I jokingly say I love to read and I like to boss people around. But in truth, what I like to do is help people to see themselves better than they see themselves currently. And because I've had some trauma and challenges in my life, when I figure something out, I feel compelled to share with someone what I figured out. It may not be the way for them. However, I feel like I have to, if I can make your way easier, if I can figure out a way to make you a more successful podcaster, if I have a resource for you, I feel compelled to share it with you. And that has become my work. I actually get paid to do that, and people are grateful that I do that. So that to me is the perfect storm of awesomeness. So I think those dots, looking back, I can see where I was given nudges all along to do what I'm doing now. It just took me kind of a long time to get up the courage to actually go ahead and let the boat leave the shoreline.
So let's take you back in time now and really connect your dots. Let's take you back on the Sermon on the Mic. And this is when you get a chance to have a one-on-one with your younger self. And if you could go back in time, what age Honoree would you choose and what words of wisdom would you give them? So we're going to find out, because I'm going to play the tune, and when it fades out, you're up. And this is the Sermon on the Mic.
Here we go with the best bit of the show, the Sermon on the Mic, the Sermon on the Mic.
So, hey, Honoree, it's Honoree, and I'm quite a bit older than you, so I'm going to give you some really strong advice, and I really want you to listen up, because if you listen up, you're going to save yourself some heartache and some time, and you're going to have a lot more joy. So here's what I'm going to say. Believe in yourself sooner. Let go of your limiting beliefs. Get out of your own way. And the sooner you do that, because I know what you want to do is you want to change the world one person at a time, and you want to empower people. And so the faster you let go of what you believe about yourself, which isn't great right now, you can step in how awesome you are. You're going to be able to help more people. So stop messing around. Stop holding on to those limiting beliefs. Stop listening to the people that are the naysayers and the people that tell you you can't do it. And just start doing it. Stop waiting until next year. Stop waiting until next week. Stop waiting until tomorrow. Drink some coffee, girl, and start doing it today.
Love that. How powerful that. Just get out there and start doing it. Is that the message for everyone?
Pretty much. That's pretty much it.
Do you think everyone can have a kick-ass life then?
I do. I really do. You know what? I just want anyone who's listening who is living that life of quiet desperation where they get up and they think, oh, not another day. How am I going to make it to Friday? How am I going to make it to the weekend? How am I going to check out tonight? How am I going to decompress and de-stress tonight because my day has been so stressful? Like, just take one small step. Just learn 5 words. Just do one piece of research. Just take one step and write 1 page in your book, because in 6 months you'll have 180 pages. In a year, you'll have 365 pages. Call one person every day, and in a year you will have called 365 people. It's not doing a whole bunch of stuff in one day and wanting instant results. It's doing a little bit and as my Spanish tutor says to me, paso a paso, little by little, you're getting there. Little by little, you'll get there. Just start right now. Start right now. Whatever you're doing, start right now. Start today. You won't regret it. You won't look back 5 years from now and say, wow, I really wish I would have stayed in my miserable job.
Just do it.
You'll thank yourself.
Just do it. How can our audience connect with you?
Well, I'm going to be moving to the United Kingdom. Stay tuned for that. I am on Twitter, so I'm at Honoree on Twitter. My websites are coachhonoree.com and honoreequarter.com. Those go to the same place. All of my books are on Amazon. I'm on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram. I love to connect to people who listen, especially if I say something or we've said something today that really inspired them to take action. That's like really juice for me. So I would love to hear about that.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for spending time with us today, joining up those dots. And please come back again when you have more dots to join up, because I do believe that by joining up those dots and connecting our past is the best way to build our futures. Honoree, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
David doesn't want you to become a faded version of the brilliant self you were once to become. So he's put together an amazing guide for you called the 8 Pieces of Advice that every successful entrepreneur practices, including the 2 that changed his life. Head over to joinupdots.com to download this amazing guide for free, and we'll see you tomorrow on Join Up Dots.